Going live. Here we go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Backwoods Investigations for Season 3. I am your host, Blimp, team leader for the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters team. And tonight, with my special guest, we take another trip back down to Tennessee to visit Micro and the leader of Micro, Matthew Delph, on this episode titled Nightmare in Indiana. He tells of his encounter with what he believes to be a Bigfoot, his research, and more. Thanks for coming on the show tonight, Matt. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so it's been a long time coming. Give a little backstory on who our guest is. I was referred to him a couple months ago by Sam DeLoach, one of my past guests, and he says, you got to hear this guy's encounter. So I look Matt up, and that's how we met. I still have yet to hear his encounter. I've saved it for the show because I want my reaction to be as genuine as yours. So before we get into that, Matt, go ahead and give us a brief summary on who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm head of Micro, which is Mountain Empire Cryptid Research Organization. I run that group. I've been doing research for probably close to at least 22 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I was a total skeptic until I had my encounter. Didn't even believe in Bigfoot. Didn't think it existed. If it did exist, it was out west or, just in fairy tales or whatever. I co-author of Bigfoot or Lizard Man, Bigfoot and Friends with Dr. John Stamey. I speak at all kinds of Bigfoot seminars, events, get people to call in or message me and tell me about sightings so I can go check it out. And my background is I'm an avid hunter. I even trapped some. I took wildlife conservation courses after my encounter to figure out what it was that I had encountered, try and eliminate everything possible. Learned how to track. Basically, it changed my whole life all the way around. I'm hosting a lot of events coming up too, and it's really great just to talk to people to get them out and tell their story, because a lot of people fear ridicule and stuff, and these events are great to bring common like people that have had an encounter that's too scared to tell others about it. But whenever you're there, they can open up to somebody else that's
Very interesting. That's what we do here with the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters. We go and we try to reach out to people and actually try to get them to interact with us if they've had an encounter with something they can't explain and they want to have somebody come in and try and help them, give them some closure and some answers. That's what we're here for. So that's a good summary, good introduction. So let's get right down to it. What got you interested in Sasquatch altogether?
All right. Like I said, I was a total skeptic, hunting my whole life. I lived in this area. It was about an hour south of Chicago in Indiana, outside of Lafayette, Indiana. And if you're familiar with the Wabash River and the Tippecanoe River, they meet. And I lived right down from that, and they called it River Junction, where the Wabash River and Tippecanoe River meet. And it outside of the city there of Lafayette, nothing but woods. I lived on a dead-end gravel road growing up. And we had a creek. It was Sugar Creek that ran behind our house. There was hundreds of acres that nobody was allowed to go into, hunt, or anything, because the doctor owned it. And he wouldn't allow people to hunt or anything. And this is like a real thick, dense forest. It's loaded down with raspberry bushes. There's outside edge around it of the forest there, but it runs along that creek, and the creek is behind my house, and it goes into, that creek runs into the Wabash River and where the Tippecanoe River meet. And it was nothing but woods from where my house was all the way to the river. I mean, like I said, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of acres of woods. Growing up, we would hear things, but like I said, we never even thought about Bigfoot, never even imagined it even being real. We just thought it was, stories like vampires or anything else. Well, whenever we were littler, whenever I was younger, we'd go out and play in the woods, my brothers and sister and me and stuff, and we would hear noises. And it was like a scream with a growl in it. And we just assumed it's some wild animal. And as I got older and started identifying, more closer to hunting, I was kind of thought, okay, hey, these grass beds that we played in, so this kind of weird. It had a strong, sour odor to them. It kind of reminds you of like a rotten hay mixed with something dead or a musky smell. Really strong, really strong. Anytime that animal was around, we knew it was around because of that smell. We could smell that smell in the air. But it was so thick out there in the woods, we never did see it at the time. And we'd hear it scream and growl, but it would never threatened us or anything, just the screams and the growls. And we got used to our surroundings. So as time went on, it didn't really scare us as bad. And my little sister, brother, and neighbor kid, the first aggressive encounter that they really had, they heard it. They heard some rustling in the weeds when they was over in the forest there. You cross the creek from our house and go, we had like 5 to 10 acres. It was in between 5 to 10 acres behind the house there in that thick woods there, and that doctor owned all the rest of it. But we would go, and we were told not to ever leave our property. Well, my little sister, my brother, and the neighbor kid all went out in the woods. They were playing. And the first real aggressive encounter they had, they heard something in the weeds, and they threw some rocks. And it let out this scream and growl. They thought it was deer. And they were trying to throw some rocks to maybe get them to kick up and take off so they could see them. Well, they threw those rocks out there, and it screamed and growled. And, of course, it scared them to death. And then they were trying to run from it, and they don't know if there was more than one or if it was so quick that it was cutting them off. They actually had to split up into, they each three different routes, and they got out to the road, and they were pretty far away from our house, and they got in trouble because my parents, told them not to leave our land. And, of course, my parents didn't ever believe them. We didn't think nothing of it. We thought, that was a way for them to cover their butt from being out past where they're supposed to. But, it terrified them, my sister and them. They can still tell you about it today. It wasn't until in 1996, and my parents had moved down here. They lived just on across the Tennessee and Virginia border now. That's where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I still lived up there in Indiana, and I'd returned to my old home place to hunt. And the forest up there is so thick and dense, just loaded with wildlife. I've got sheds to a 21-point buck. The base of them look like pop cans. That never did see it, but it was in there somewhere. And I was always after that big buck. And every year I would return and hunt out there. Mm-hmm. Well, it was the fall of 1996, and it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. And I worked at Subaru Isuzu, and they gave us, we had that week off for Thanksgiving and stuff. Well, I always hunted on this one trail as you it was real thick. Okay, you cross from my house, you cross the creek, there's a low marshy area, and then as you go up this embankment, it was real flat up there. And there were cedars, real thick cedars, and you had to go through a bunch of raspberry bushes, briars, but there were so many game trails. I mean, there were paths you could crisscross in and out to get up there pretty easily. Up at the very top of the real marshy area, there was a group of cedars, and there was a deer trail that went down to the creek. And I've shot deer before going in and out there. So that was my main hunting spot. And like I said, it's so thick up there, you couldn't really see but 30 yards at the most and the clear spots in front of you. Well, I got out there about the Saturday before Thanksgiving then. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon I got out there. And I had this one spot, I always kept the leaves cleared out, stuff like that, where I could sit and hunt and be quiet, you know. I just leaned up against the tree there. And it started to get about dusk. I didn't hear nothing, didn't see nothing. And it's starting to get dusk, and the light was starting to get down, it's starting to get dark. I was like, well, I better head back home. Well, as I stood up and the breeze come through, and I could smell that strong odor. Ew. And I was like, I wonder, you know, like, whatever that thing is, it's around. But never imagine Bigfoot or anything like that. You know, just figure it's some kind of wild animal out there, and it didn't, you know, smell too good. Then I heard some sticks breaking, something walking. I thought, okay, well, maybe it's a couple does coming out down that trail. Well, the smell got stronger, and the noise, the sticks and stuff, where it was coming through there, I thought, well, something's coming through there, and it didn't sound like it was on the main trail, because the trail was pretty clear. Well, I seen trees, little sapling. There was a little cedar patch. There's a cedar patch. There's cedars all around, but there's a little patch that had like saplings and stuff where it looked like somebody had cleared out some of the cedars. And there were some sapling trees that were growing up through there. I seen those sapling trees start moving. I'm thinking, aha, maybe it's a buck, you know, that's following. They're in the rut. It's going to be following that doe. I'm like, okay, great. You know, I might be able to finally kill one of these big bucks that's out here. So I wait, you know, no deer showed up. And I heard that scream at the growl. And it's not like what you see on Finding Bigfoot or no whoops or nothing like that. This was like a blood-curdling scream. I mean, it goes right through you whenever you hear it. And to this date, I still haven't found anything that matches that. Oh. And it let out that scream. I was like, what in the heck? And then it started snapping these sapling trees. I mean, they were actually breaking. And I was like, what in the world is that? But it was dark, and it's so thick up there, it'd have to get up closer before I could see it. And I knew it was that wild animal that we'd always saw through the years that we would, you know, had heard and smelled and stuff like that. I was like, well, maybe I get to finally see what this thing is. It kept getting closer, and it kept getting closer, and it sounded like sticks and stuff were falling behind me. I was like, what in the world is that? You know, I'm looking around. So, and as I could see the trees start moving, as it was coming closer, and it was really moving these trees and snapping these sapling trees. I was like, what in the world? And that's when I seen it. It got within the 30 yards or closer, and I didn't see the face because it was dark, getting dark, but I seen the silhouette, the outline of it move through the trees, and I could see it had hair on it, and where it was dark, I couldn't tell if it was black, gray, or brown, but it was dark colored. And I thought, what in the world? And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, it was in between 6 to 7 feet tall. I'm like, what in the world is this thing? And I've got my gun up, and I'm waiting for it to get closer. Now, they got closer. I seen it moving through the tree line again, and it's getting closer. It let up this blood-curdling scream again, and I could see like a shoulder movement. And I was like, what in the world is this stick? And the pretty good-sized stick went whizzing by my head with some force. And it let out that big scream again. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm gone. I took off running. And I got to the edge where you start to go down to the creek, and I turned around to see if it was following or chasing or running after me. And I didn't see it behind me, but it let out that scream with that growl again. Ooh. And so I run down across the creek, jump in my truck, and go back to a friend of mine's house where I was staying at. And he's like, what's wrong with you? He could tell something was wrong with me. And I told him, I was like, I seen something. He's like, well, what'd you see? And I was like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I was like, Bigfoot's not supposed to exist. But I'm looking at this thing that resembles, a Bigfoot. I know it was real. It was there, but it's not supposed to exist. And talk about like a post. It traumatized me. It really traumatized me. And ever since then, that's what got me started investigating Bigfoot sightings. I wanted to learn how to track. It's personal for me. It's really personal. I've been researching. I've been in the public eye, but just here recently. And but I've done 20 years of research, and like I said, took courses on wildlife conservation, tracking, everything, so I could educate myself on this to eliminate everything that it could be. And it was a Bigfoot. And I don't, I'm that person. I don't care if anybody believes me or not. I know what I've seen. I know it's real. And I'm not trying to prove to the world that it's real. It put a chip on my shoulder because I've never been scared of anything before. But that thing terrified me. It absolutely terrified me. And now I've got a chip on my shoulder, and I'm wanting to face that fear. I'm wanting to see what this thing is. I want to learn more about it. I want to educate myself the most that I can. And that's what got me started in the whole Bigfoot research, cryptids, and so on. There. And I can tell you right now, every time I talk about it and think about it, I get goosebumps. And I've got goosebumps now.
It's had a traumatic effect on you.
Yes, it put some trauma. It definitely messed with me. I won't walk into the woods without a gun now. I wouldn't kill one unless it was coming at me or tried to harm me. But I know that they can be aggressive. I don't know if it would have killed me or if it was just bluffing, but it didn't want me there. I know that much. It did not want me there.
And how long ago was this?
It was in 1996.
That was only a year. That was a year after I was born. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I was a year old when that happened, probably.
Yep, it was 1996. And I've never been back to that area since then. I quit hunting in there. My sister now lives there. My oldest sister lives there now. And she don't know anything about Bigfoot. We kind of had, we don't talk. I maybe talk to her once a year. We had a falling out. But I plan on going back there now. My brother went back there. It's probably 2 years ago. They've done a lot of different construction stuff around that area. And I don't know if it would if it would make it move or whatever, or if there's anything still there. But my brother was there, I think it was about 2 years ago. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. He called me, and there wasn't nobody home at our old house. And he was asking me if I knew where they were or whatever. And I told him I didn't, hadn't talked to her in years, And I told him, I was like, do a tree knock out there. And he's like, all right. So he goes over and he does a tree knock. And then he gets immediate response. And he's like, whoa, dude, this is freaky. And I said, what is it? And he said, did you hear that? He said, I got a response. He said, I got a tree knock back. And then he heard that scream and all kinds of noises going on. He's like, dude, I am out of here. He said, forget this. I'm gone. My little sister, the friend that, our neighbor friend and little sister and stuff, I mean, my little sister remembers it like it was yesterday, just like I do whenever chased her out of the woods there. But the neighbor kid, I asked him if he remembered it. I looked him up on Facebook this a couple years ago. I was like, do you remember that thing that chased you guys out of the woods? He's like, how could you forget? He's like, I've never been back to the woods since then. So, I mean, it definitely messes with you when you encounter something, especially when it's not supposed to exist. You're brought up, just fairy tales or, and then when you actually encounter something like that, it traumatizes you. And past 21 years, 22 years, I've been trying to face fear. And like I said, I was low key until I went to a Bigfoot conference, and I was listening to these people open up about their sightings, and I was like, well, I need to start doing some of these conferences so I can get people to start reporting to me their sightings so I can go and start investigating them. And that's what got me started with Mountain Empire Cryptid Research Organization. And through the years, I would investigate certain Bigfoot sighting, stuff like that, but that's kind of low key. I wasn't really into the Bigfoot community and stuff like that. I was just doing it because it's always been personal for me. It's always been personal. But I'm really enjoying it now that I'm in the Bigfoot community because people open up. They can tell you what they've seen, what they've encountered, that they wouldn't normally tell anybody else. I've had a lot of people come up and say, I've never told nobody this. I've had pharmacists from like Rite Aid and, accountable people that have come up and said, hey, I think there's a Bigfoot. I've got this hair and all this other stuff, and it's really great, people opening up about it, because there's something out there. We know there's something out there.
I mean, it's not that hearing other people that have had encounters with these creatures, it helps like, I guess, sort of give you a little bit of closure to help you feel like, you're not alone. You're not the only one out there.
Right. Exactly. Yep. And that's what helps them too, because, they hear about my encounter and how it messed with me, and they can relate. They can relate to, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Because, I mean, it messes with you. You're looking at something that's not supposed to even.
So lots happened then, since then, I take it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of research. I've done, I know now that the government knows about it, to cover it up. In several areas. My main thing is, I believe there's very few of them, and the government goes in and hunts them and kills them down whenever they hear sightings reports or anything in the news. And the government wants everybody and the people to think that that's why they always put these people, they make a mockery of people that research Bigfoot. They'll find the biggest redneck they can to try and make fun of him, to ridicule him, and they'll put him on the news so the public can laugh at him, so nobody will take it serious. But they know it's real because 1975, everybody's like, well, where's the concrete evidence? In 1975, the Army Corps of Engineers, they made a atlas for them to go in and work for the Corps of Engineers, the Army, to go in and work in the state of Washington in 1975. They had to put out an atlas of every single species, plant, everything in the state of Washington, and Bigfoot. They listed Bigfoot in that. And you can look it up. And they actually called one of the libraries or whatever, and they've actually got it documented in there as Bigfoot as a species. Why would they spend, well, we know they spend money just on ridiculous stuff anyhow, but they spent $200,000 on taxpayers' dollars to make this atlas, and Bigfoot's in there. They know about it. And there's been several occasions where they cover it up. They try and hide it. So you'll never be able to bring Bigfoot. Everybody's like, well, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Anytime you have proof, they will say it's a hoax. They will cover it up. They will get rid of it. Plain and simple.
But why do you think they do that?
I think a lot of it is because of, for example, of course, you have a bunch of crazy people out there in the woods with guns. It would put, it put fear in everybody. They don't want the chaos from that. People be hysterical. Another thing too, I think, is because of the logging industry. If Bigfoot, if they say Bigfoot exists and it's in the, especially the Pacific Northwest, it's an endangered species, they won't be able to go in there and log. And these logging companies will lose millions and millions of dollars. And if we can't log, think of all the stuff that's made out of wood. We have to have wood. And the logs and the trees. And it would shut down a lot of national parks. It'd do a lot of, it would change the way people look at things, and it would change pretty much, especially with the national parks and the forestry industry. But other than that, I don't know why. Unless they want to, with the religious aspect of it, looking at it and saying, oh, it could be the missing link, but it's out there. They know about it, and they will cover it up and they'll hunt them down and kill them.
You'd think with it being an endangered species that they'd be against killing them. They'd probably try to trap and relocate, but if it's an endangered species, why kill it? It's probably last of its kind.
Exactly. It was in 2003 in La Follette, Tennessee. It's Campbell County. In 2003, they had on the news, I've seen it come up, it said, they said a skunk ape, could Bigfoot possibly be in Campbell County? And over a week period of time, they had a lot of Bigfoot sightings, and was coming to these people's homes. It was killing their pets, is eating their fruit. It had actually thrown this one woman come out. And the news had to put the most ridiculous people out there to make a mockery of the actual real researchers. It makes it all look crazy. But they would put the most ridiculous people on there. And they had a woman on the news that said that it was out there in my yard and it threw a kitten at me. And there's a cryptozoologist that come in from Florida. He had a picture. You ever seen that picture of a woman that turned in to the police station in Florida of the skunk ape?
Oh, yes.
And it looks like similar to an orangutan, but you can see the fangs on it, and it was stealing oranges or whatever from her backyard. Well, they had that picture, and they went around the community, and they were asking them, does this look anything? They're like, that's it. Well, once they come in there, the news quit after that week, completely shut down. They wouldn't put it on the news anymore. They wouldn't report on it anymore. So it kind of perked my interest. I'm like, okay, so I'm going out there and I'm talking to people, and it led me to this woman that they said need to talk to this woman. I'm not going to say her name. She wanted to stay anonymous, but she claims that she said that the sheriff of Lafayette, Tennessee there, the sheriff and the deputies and a bunch of guys that looked like SWAT team had showed up at her house, knocked on her door, and told her to put all her pets inside, that they was going to hunt it down. And she told them, she said, it's been around here for years. She goes, it's never really bothered nothing. And the sheriff said, well, they're a nuisance. We want them all dead. And she said that they actually shot it. She could hear gunfire, and she could hear it scream. And she said she watched it fall in the back field behind her house. And she said they took it out in a helicopter. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. But she really seemed like what she seen, she really believed. Whatever she was telling me, she really believed what she was telling me. You could tell that she was really, she believed her story that she was telling me.
Wow. So you've been at this now for quite a long time. What so far have you learned in doing your field research and everything else? What have you learned so far?
Basically, I believe it's a flesh animal. A lot of people say it's, they can mind speak. They're not aggressive. I know for a fact they're aggressive. I use what I encountered as, because I know that stuff there was fact. What I encountered, there was no tree structures or anything. They had grass beds. But there were deer carcasses, stuff like that. But, and through the years of research and stuff, different people that have similar stuff that, like I experienced and the encounters that I had, they'll talk about how they'll get on all fours and run like a gorilla, like they'll get down on fours and go really fast that way. There's not that many of them out there. People just can't walk out into the woods and start seeing them. I think they travel along waterways. Anywhere there's a river, stream, or a major lake or something, swamp area, they always stay close to water. I think that they're tree knocks at nighttime. That's when they're hunting. So they tree knocks to identify where the other Bigfoot is. So that way they can run deer to one another. They run the deer toward that way. And I know that they mimic owls. I haven't had an encounter since then, but most of the trails that I've come across or people told me about are from years ago. They said back in the 80s or something. And actually, just not too long ago, I think it was last week, I got from a woman that was telling me about a sighting not too far from where I live here. And it kind of makes sense. She said everything that, from my encounter, was happening up there. She grew up, and to this day, that is still happening, as far as she knows. And her dad lives out there, and the neighbors. And she's going to actually let me go up there and research and check it out. So hopefully I found a hot trail. But most of the trails or the sightings that I've been around or stuff like that have been old that people have told me about. But I didn't really start getting a lot of people to open up about it until I started speaking at these Bigfoot conferences. For example, the Harlan that I went to, I spoke at back in April, the Harlan Crypticon, which was a great conference. Little town there had over 350 people show up to that. And I always like to interact with people, and whenever I'm speaking, I try and bring the crowd in with it too. And over half of those people had an encounter or seen something. And it was really great, Harlan was. Jimmy and Jennifer McDaniel, they done a great job for the first Harlan event. Like I said, they had over 350 more than 350 people there in attendance, and more than half of them had some kind of encounter or sighting. I didn't realize Harlan County over there had that many sightings. I had people come up to me and they were showing me pictures, and he was showing this one guy. He had his digital camera, and he was trying to explain to me, and it's what I think what they're encountering is like a dog man. I didn't realize that the dog man, which I know you're familiar with, is pretty popular over there in Harlan County. And but I think what I think it is, I think it's the snout, the tail, the dog leg, you know, the long arms with the claws, but the leg is bent like a dog's. I don't know if you're familiar with the devil monkey, but the devil monkey from the 30s is real big in Pittsburgh, Tennessee. They had a huge thing. But all the way up and down the Appalachian Trail here, the devil monkey has been seen and run at least a 3-toe track. Well, this man, he was showing me these pictures. He said, okay, this Bigfoot here. He said, here, he showed me these tracks on his phone. And he come across, he said, this is old 3 toes. And I looked at it, and I was like, that's not a Bigfoot track. And he said, yeah, he said he's hairy, and he's got, you know, and he showed me a picture of him. And this is probably about the most clearest picture I've seen of what you call a dog man or a devil monkey. The face, the snout is looking right at you. And it wasn't one of them ones you had to circle to try and point it out. It's plain as day. And he had it on his little digital camera. And he's like, this right here is what's leaving. I said, yeah, that's a dog man or a devil monkey, whatever you want to call it. And he's like, really? I said, yeah, they're totally different species than the Bigfoot. And he's had Bigfoot tracks too, he showed me. And he told me that the ones with the snout, that as they grow older, when they're first young, it starts out like a pig nose. It's real short. And then as they get older, it starts growing out. I mean, this guy, he had pictures to back it up. I was really impressed. So that's going to be another hot spot of mine I'm going to start hitting over in that area. And he was talking about how they'd be aggressive at times. The Harlan event was great. Like I said, that area is a hotbed for cryptids. The devil monkey, dog man, or Bigfoot. That's where, it's loaded with sightings, even recent sightings. And that guy was telling me, he's like, yeah, they come out there all the time. Me and my wife have both seen them. And he was showing me pictures from a digital camera that he took. It was really great.
So, you're with Micro, Mountain Empire Cryptid Researchers Organization. Other than Bigfoot, what else do you guys investigate?
Anything that they want. We don't do ghost, because that's hard to start messing around in a different area there. But anything dogman related, or like a Bigfoot, or any type of cryptid, really, except for we don't do the paranormal, like ghost or anything like that. It's mostly just like Bigfoot, dogman, mostly. But, we've had an occasional people have talked to us about shadow people, which I'm not real familiar with shadow people. And they've, it's mostly just Bigfoot and the dogman sighting. Now, they've had some UFO sightings over in our research area. Our research area is actually a Bigfoot sanctuary. Bigfoot's been in that area, and there's been a lot of sightings up in there. And they've actually made it a Bigfoot sanctuary. There's signs up there in that area. It's really spooky. I've never been to the woods that have been so spooky, but that place is really, really spooky up there.
What, with all the cases that Micro has investigated, what has to be the most standout case, your favorite case that y'all have investigated, reports, investigations?
Let's see. We've had a lot of people call the Black Panther. This one, we've had Black Panther. sightings. This one, I'd say, is probably mostly just more Bigfoot related, or we've had people talk about a witch being up in that area. Just here recently, though, but most of them were older stories. Like I said, it's been less than a year now that I've been in the Bigfoot community, and it's like really took off for me. And now that I'm into it, I'm getting more and more cases. And here within the past month and a half, I've really got a lot that I have to go investigate. But the older ones that we would investigate were older stories, that they were back in 10 or longer, periods of time frame, back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. They weren't nothing hot. It wasn't a hot trail for us to have a lead on. But after, now that I've been speaking at these events and going to these different conferences and putting on conferences now, I'm getting more up to date. And it's actually, I'm overwhelmed with sightings that I have to go investigate stuff. Like, when was it? They had, like at Harlan, they're seeing it pretty much weekly. Some of these people that have told me their stories and stuff that I just haven't had time to go investigate yet. But most of our prior, before I got into the Bigfoot community, was mostly just basically the whole, back in the 80s, or my grandpa, or, and some accounts, you couldn't take people seriously. You could tell that they were BS. They were just, because you could tell it didn't traumatize them, it didn't nothing, something like that. I know for a fact it'll mess with you. Some of the stories I know that were just BS. But we try and eliminate everything, though, until we eliminate everything from bear to this to that to before we'll even say anything is Bigfoot. We try and do it scientifically, which I'm getting more and more people that have talked to me about, this portals and mind speak and stuff. And my personal opinion with the mind speak stuff like that, I think they're encountering demons or something possibly out in that area. But I don't believe it's an actual Bigfoot, because what I encountered, it ate, it drank, it was flesh and blood. It didn't, which I've got an open mind. I mean, but I would have to encounter something before I thought it was more mind speak or anything like that, because that thing never tried to mind speak with us. It threw stuff at us, let us know it was there. It didn't want me there. And when I seen it, actually physically seen it, I knew it, it was a flesh and blood creature, animal.
That's very, I mean, you guys are out there, you're going where a lot of these scientists won't go. You guys are what I call the redneck scientists. We're going out there in the woods because everybody on every team has got strengths that we play to. Some of us are trained photographers that can either make it a debunked photo or a plausible photo of something. You've got people that are researchers on the occult and stuff like that. You've got seasoned outdoorsmen, people with years of field research under their belt. Everybody has strengths to play to on a team.
Right.
So,
right.
Where you're at now down there in Tennessee, and all of that, you lived in Indiana.
Right. I actually live across the border. I'm 20 minutes into Virginia from the Tennessee border there.
Oh, okay. Well, out of those three states, then Virginia, Tennessee, and Indiana, because on this show it's not real. It's not 100% Bigfoot. I like to educate the people, the viewers, on what else is reported to live in all those states? What other cryptids are supposed to live, are reported to live in Indiana and Virginia and Tennessee besides Bigfoot and Dogman?
Like I said, what they call uh, the devil monkey. That's the most major one that I've seen. Of course, in Kentucky, you got the sheep squatch, which I think all these are just maybe. I think it's just it's a species. It's kind of like if you have a wolf, a coyote. I think they're all in the same type of cryptid. The whole mostly around this area though, it's more Bigfoot and Dogman or Devil Monkey, which I know up in Indiana, like right now, she's covered up with what they call the moth, the Mothman or some type of Batman. And
yeah, I've been following that case since it opened up.
Yes, me too. I actually thought something was going to happen because the activity really picked up last year on the 50th anniversary of the bridge collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened on, was it December 15th? Or is it December something when the bridge collapsed? And
I think it was the 13th.
Okay.
December 13th.
Okay. In 1967. And it was 50 years. And I noticed from like August to December in Chicago, they had nothing but seeing it more than once. They've even actually seen like two of them together and stuff. And they're seeing them like right there in major Chicago. I mean, right there in the city of Chicago, downtown. It wasn't out on the, out in the, they've seen some out in the suburbs, but most of it was just downtown Chicago, right there by the Lakeshore Drive and area and stuff. I figured something was going to happen because sightings really picked up getting closer to the 50th anniversary of the bridge collapse. But thank goodness nothing has happened. But mostly, I didn't realize how much activity. I've been putting a lot of focus right now into the Smoky Mountain area where I went there last weekend. And I'm sure you're probably familiar with the Dennis Martin case where the little boy went missing. And it was back in 69, I believe. It was on Father's Day weekend, June 14th, maybe 1969.
Name rings a bell.
Well, he was little boy was playing up in this area. Him and his parents were up there, and they were playing. Another family come up and asked them if their little boy could play with theirs, and they had actually said, okay, yeah, that's fine, he can play. Well, right there up there in the Smoky, right where the North Carolina-Tennessee line is, the Appalachian Trail will cut down through there. And the little boys were playing, and then all of a sudden, the little boy, the Martin boy, had just disappeared, vanished, and they never did find him. And down, it's like an hour and a half hike from the area he disappeared. A family was hiking in Caves Cove, which I was there last weekend actually, and looking around, and they had seen like 2 hours, about 2 hours after, about the time the little boy went missing, they had seen, they called him a hairy man with, they thought had a little boy over his shoulder, and it let out a scream at him, and they seen it running through the woods, and it had a little boy over his shoulder. And to this day, they never did find the boy. And the interesting thing about that is the FBI and them kept that quiet from the parents. And the Green Beret had come in there for a week. And they stayed in the Smokies and would not talk about what they were doing in there. They would not talk to park rangers. They would not talk to anyone about what they were doing in there. And I actually believe that they were in there to hunt it down and kill him. And, I mean, why else would the Green Beret show up in the Smoky Mountains for a week right after something like that happens,
They sure weren't coming up for a picnic.
You know, and I know the park rangers hide because on the other side of the Smoky Mountains there is Cherokee, North Carolina. And I've talked to a lot of the people there, and the Cherokee and stuff believe that towards Clingman's Dome, which is the highest point in the Smokies, they call it 8-Man Cavern. There's cave system on the other side of Clingman's Dome there that they said that they stay away from it, that there's, you know, the hairy man, the 8-Man lives in those caves. Well, I go and start asking park rangers about, because I've been up to Clingman's Dome, I'm kind of curious, you know, where this cave system is, and they completely shut me down. They're like, there are no caves up there. I'm like, well, Cherokee were telling me a little bit about, you know, there's a cool cave system up there. They're like, no cave system. I'm like, okay, so what's on the other side of that? They said, stay away from that area. It's dangerous up there. And then he walked away. They would not talk about anything else. They just completely shut it down. They're not saying nothing, but just stay away from there. It's dangerous.
But why would they have something to hide like that? I mean, it'd be hurting tourism and everything. Like, they could go and be like that and be rude, and then you go back and tell somebody it could hurt their tourism and everything. Why hide something like that? I mean, why not just go and say, don't go here because there could be snakes or there's a falling hazard?
Well, they said falling. They said that they said it's dangerous, it's rough terrain, don't go in there. But you could tell there was more to it than that. There was more to it than that because he didn't want to talk about it.
They had that evasive.
And he shut it down real quick and walked away. You know, he didn't want to talk about it. And I caught him off guard. I actually caught him off guard because I was acting like, you know, hey, which I'm pretty familiar with the Smoky Mountains because I go there 5-6 times a year through the summer. And, you know, I'm like, okay, you know, we're in for, you know, where would this be a good hike? They said these cave systems, and that's when I started talking about it. I said, well, the Cherokee called it 8-Man Caverns up in there, and that's when you could tell something clicked with him then. He was like, you don't want to go there. There is no cave system there. You know, he knew what I was on to. He definitely knew what I was on to. And this past weekend, whenever we went up there, and I was trying to, going up to some of the trails there at Caves Cove, where the family had possibly seen, you know, the Bigfoot from Dennis Martin case, carrying a little boy running through the woods, trying to follow up that creek and stuff, and really didn't have enough time, but I was investigating, you know, checking out the area and stuff like that, and me and my daughter, we come across a mama bear and 2 cubs, so we didn't get too close to her because she's being pretty aggressive with those little ones, but, I mean, I can track. If I can get a hot trail, I want to lead straight to that Bigfoot front doorstep. I've tracked bears straight to the tree that they've been up in. I'm wanting a hot trail on a Bigfoot. Well, I'm hoping that these events, now these people are starting to give me lead. By the time that we do the Tennessee Bigfoot conference, I have enough research in. I can show some pretty good evidences and more stuff that we have investigated over the summer, especially with these now.
Mm-hmm.
Which you'll be part of the Tennessee Bigfoot conference.
Get down there and buy you beer.
Alrighty, I'll take it.
Oh, well, buddy, we're getting close to the end of the show, but before we go, if they had any kind of or an encounter they'd like to turn into for a further investigation, how?
You can go to, you can look me up on Facebook. It's Matthew Delph on Facebook. Or you can go to Mountain Empire Cryptid Research Organization, and you can join the group. And I'm the one over it now. Sam DeLoach, he doesn't do stuff in the community anymore, but he still goes out in the woods and investigates stuff like that. And he's still behind the scenes, but he's just out in the woods. He won't do anything else with the community or anything like that. But me and him, pretty much, you know, if you send something in there, you get, if he don't get it, then I'll get it. So basically, just Mountain Empire Cryptid Research Organization. Look for it. Show up at, go to any of these events that we got going on. At the Tennessee Bigfoot Conference that you'll be part of, it'll be in Kingsport, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be October 20th, 21st. We got the Georgia Bigfoot Conference coming up. It'll be next year in March. And I've got Lizard Man Festival with Lyle Blackburn coming up. I'll be out there trying to catch up on some of the Lizard Man cryptid. I want to learn more about him. I'll be out there and I'll be speaking and be doing a discussion panel, me and Lyle, out there in South Carolina, Bishopville. That'll be June 8th, 9th, and 10th. Out there at Swamp 4 in Bishopville, South Carolina, where they have the Lizard Man sighting. Trying to get something possibly going here for the summer closer to some of our area that I've been investigating. Me and you talked about before the show.
Mm-hmm.
I won't announce it until it's finalized, but I'm hoping that one comes through because that'll be a huge event there.
Good deal.
And anybody wants to show up, I encourage everybody to show up out there. If you've got something that you've encountered, don't feel ashamed. You won't get ridiculed. Just tell me your story, tell me what's happened, and hopefully we can get answers. Because I know it's out there. It's real. There's no doubt about it. Whether anybody believes me or not, I don't care. I know it's out there for a fact. And we need to know more. We definitely need to know more.
And before we go, what little bit of wisdom would you leave our viewers with for anybody that's getting into the field, people that are new to the field research and researching Bigfoot? What little shred of wisdom would you leave our viewers with?
Keep an open mind, but there's a lot of people in the Bigfoot area that are just doing stuff for attention. Do some research on the people. You'll never see Mountain Empire Cryptid Research Organization as hoaxing anything. We won't say nothing. Eliminate everything like we do that we know is a actual species and animal. Eliminate all possibilities of anything else first before you even try to save the Bigfoot. Eliminate everything possible. You know, from bear to wolf, coyote, and there's a lot of these animals that, for example, you've heard fox calls and stuff like that, right? Or scream. We had a pet fox, and of course, you know, you can't domesticate a wild animal. He was used to us, but he wasn't domesticated, and he made about 15 different sounds. I had no clue a fox even made. So you gotta really, really research and eliminate all other possibilities before saying it's Bigfoot, because there's not that many out there. We got people that's going out there saying they see them every day and all this stuff. Whether they are or not, I don't know, but a lot of it, from 20 years of research, you just can't walk out into the woods. They're so limited. The numbers are so low on these things, especially with the government going in and trying to shut them down, that there's not that many out there. You probably have a better chance of seeing a mountain lion or a panther before you see one of these.
Oh yeah, it's definite. I mean, I'm lucky if I can, because for a while I was seeing them one to two a year in all my research areas, and they're very sparsely spread out. But it's getting to the point where I've only seen two this year.
See, another thing too. Okay, I've noticed also, like whenever, because I do a lot of rabbit hunting stuff up there in that area up there in Indiana. But during the winter time, from usually See, I had my encounters in November, at the end of November. But rabbit season stuff around Christmas time, I would go rabbit hunting. I'd never have no sign of any activity, no tracks, no screams, no smell, nothing until springtime. So whenever, I think they move around or whatever, because from the time, from spring when I'd start mushroom hunting, down here they call them hickory chickens. From that time to the raspberries, where the raspberries and stuff, all the way up until it started getting cold around Thanksgiving, was the time frame that they would be around, that thing was around. But during the wintertime, never heard it, never smelled it, never even seen a track or nothing of it. So I don't know if they migrate, which I think they move around quite a bit. But during that wintertime, nothing ever. Have you ever experienced anything like that? Like,
yeah, they can. During the wintertime, they shut off.
Yeah.
And it's usually right around mid-November, whenever it starts shuts off and starts getting really cold, and then whenever the tree frogs start chirping again and the robin comes back, and all the frogs start chirping, that's whenever, usually within a couple weeks, you're going to be finding sign, and you're going to be hearing stuff and possibly seeing stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's about right.
There's a little trade secret I'll tell you. There's a friend of mine that lives down in Texas, Baltimore Galvan Jr. He told me about well, you're on the Cryptid CSI team. You've probably seen this. Whenever he told me about how I was going to go out, he said, go back to the old ways and build a small fire. There's no, and I'll tell you right now to the viewers, like I'm talking to Matt right now, there's no shame in going back to the old ways to try and draw a Bigfoot out.
Nope.
Because
they lived amongst them.
Exactly.
Amongst them.
And trust me, if you go back to the old ways and you do away with a lot of this big stuff equipment, like a little flashlight and a digital recorder while you're out there practicing the old ways, it doesn't hurt. But like the big bulky stuff, I think that's what turns them off.
Right. True. And another thing, people are always like, how come trail cameras and stuff like that? The whole trail camera thing, my theory on the trail cameras is, okay, bears, down here, bears are horrible. They will tear up your trail camera. And it's because they smell the alkaline in the batteries. And it attracts them, so they tear them down. I believe Bigfoot, it's got the sense of smell and hearing, just like more enhanced than, of course, humans, but with some human intelligence, so they stay away from it. I think they can smell the alkaline in the batteries. I think that's why they stay away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
like the bears can smell it.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing that Baltimore told me too. That he went and he's switching a lot of his cameras over from digital to analog, and he's going back with like small film camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it definitely, we know they're out there, but they stay away from. A guy in Harlan told me anytime he had a gun and he was out in the woods, they would stay away from him. He thinks that they could smell the gunpowder in the shells. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But, it's a possibility.
That's very possible. Anything in the world of Bigfoot and any kind of cryptid creature is possible.
Yep. Definitely.
Well, it's about time for us to split, buddy. I do thank you for coming on my show, man. It's been a long time coming.
And I appreciate you having me on there.
I do. I appreciate you, buddy. I'll see you in October in Tennessee. Hopefully I'll see you in Virginia at the ECBRO conference too.
Okay, yeah, that's at the end of June there.
Yep.
Be up there. But yeah, we'll have to definitely get out and do some research together.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure's all mine, buddy. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you on the trail.
All righty.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye. And that does it, everybody, for another episode of Backwoods Investigations. Like Matt said, contact him on Facebook if you have an encounter or a report that you would like to turn into him. Look up Matthew Delph, MatthewDelph, Delph. He's more than likely he'll go and he'll hear your message and the report you turn in. Be sure to check out MICRO, the Mountain Empire Cryptid Researchers Organization, on Facebook, and get in on everything. Get on the action. Coming up June 30th and July 1st of this year. It's coming up fast, folks. The ECBRO Virginia State Bigfoot Conference is coming up. You've heard me talk about it before. Ron J. Moorhead, Kimberly McGeorge, Ohio Night Stalkers, Baltimore Gavon Jr., Tracy Arnold, Ed Truth Productions. I will be there. The She Squatchers, Jenna Grover and Jen Cruz will be there. I invite everybody to come out. July 27th at 6 o'clock at night, the doors open at the first annual SIMH Bigfoot Seminar in Crab Orchard, Illinois, at the Crab Orchard Public Library. It's free to the public, everybody. Invite everybody to come on out. Let's see, especially coming up, as Matt said, him and me will be speaking at the Tennessee Bigfoot Conference in Bays Mountain Park, Kingsport, Tennessee. Get a hold of John Stamey on Facebook, or look up Tennessee Bigfoot Conference on Google. You can get your tickets there. I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight on the live broadcast. This is the first live broadcast that I've done. Be sure to tune in for my next episode. Joe Harbert from Florida, he's scheduled to be on an episode, and he's going to talk about his encounter that he believes he had with the Ohio Grassman and a lot more. So, everybody, until then, like and subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, share us with your friends, click that like button, find us on Facebook, Southern Illinois Monster Hunters. Share that Facebook page with your friends, click the like button, send us in your reports if you want us to do a follow-up investigation. Check out Cryptid CSI, the Cryptid Crime Scene Investigators. Me and Matt are on that, along with Daniel Benoit, Fred Caney, Dave Thundercloud, Baltimore Gavon Jr., Tracy Arnold, Rich Daniels from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Stacy Coughlin, Louisiana. He is our occult researcher. Look us up on Facebook, folks. Share us with your friends there and click the like button. Turn in a report that you want us to investigate. We'll be more than happy to, and we'll get back to you. Everybody plays to their strengths. Until then, everybody, I'll see you on the next episode. So keep a wary eye out, keep your ears in the wind, and your nose to the ground. And I'll see you next time on Backwoods Investigations. Stay squatchy, everybody, and God bless.